Bonjour les étudiants et bienvenue à la classe. C'est lesson 5, and since you guys all have a senior meeting today that's required during our class time, we're going to take advantage of the fact that we are an online class and I have a pre-recorded session ready for you guys. It's not going to be the full hour, but I do want you to make sure that you understand what's going on here, because today we're going to discuss a topic that you knew was inevitable. You knew we were coming back to it eventually. And today we're going to start that process. Now, before you hear the word subjunctive and start freaking out and thinking, oh no, this is going to be super hard, the good news is over the summer I took some time to really do some research on it. And since we're not cramming this into 4 weeks or 3 weeks at the end of a semester, it'll be a lot easier to spend a lot of time on it, like we did with le passé composé et le imparfait, so that way we make sure that you really understand what's going on, since this is another major tense and it makes a huge impact on the French language. So if you guys are ready to embark, let's go ahead and start this adventure. Now, so far we have learned 3 different verb moods that are commonly used in English as well. So you have indicatif, which is le présent, le passé composé, l'imparfait, and futur. So whenever we're discussing any of those kinds of things, they're in indicative mood. We have the imperatif, which is l'imparfait. L'imperatif, which is when we give commands. This is literally the French word for imperative. So it's literally the same thing. And then you have conditionnel, which in this case we've learned le présent du conditionnel. There are other versions like le passé du conditionnel and le futur du conditionnel, but we're not going to worry about those right now. We'll discuss those later on as the year progresses and things like that. Now in French, they have one final mood, and to be perfectly honest with you, we don't use this in English. Like if you were trying to pinpoint it, I mean, I've talked to my mom, and as you know, she's like an English fanatic. She knows all the grammar. She's amazing because she's the one that taught me. But basically, we just don't use this, but it is the subjunctive. So instead of trying to compare it to English, because that doesn't work, it just doesn't make any sense, we're just going to talk about it as it is in French. So forget about the fact that it could exist in English. We're just going to focus on the fact that this is how they use it in French, because they actually do use it in French, unlike our language. Now in this, it expresses 5 different things. So feelings, so when you're hurt, when you're sad, when you're happy, when you're excited, they use the subjunctive. When they're expressing wishes, I wish you would bring me a coffee right now. I wish Monty would come snuggle with me because I'm sitting on this chair by myself. Anything like that, they use the subjunctive. When they're talking about possibilities, maybe that storm, Hurricane Maria, will come this way. I don't know. That's always a possibility, and they use the subjunctive. When they're talking about emotions, again, back to feelings, it's very similar. I feel mad. I feel unhappy. I feel delighted. All those things. And then doubt. I doubt that the hurricane is coming this way. After all, we just had one. Oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me. So these are all cases when they would use the subjunctive. And don't worry about stressing out about all 5 of these right now, obviously, because we're going to come back to it. We're going to discuss a lot more with it. But just as an FYI, as we are diving in, these are the 5 ways that they use it en français. Now, the first one that we're going to talk about, the first one of these 5, is going to be expressing when you want something. Now, why exactly do we start here? Because it's the first one in the list, and it's the first one listed in the chapter, so you know, c'est la vie. Now, one nice thing about the subjunctive is that it almost always, and when I say almost always, I mean like I can't even think of an exception off the top of my head. And like I said, I did a lot of research about this over the summer. But it almost always appears in a dependent clause that starts with que. There are very, 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 very few exceptions, and I literally cannot think of one off the top of my head. So that's always a nice thing. So basically, the sentence structure for all of the subjunctive that we're going to talk about is roughly the same. Now, how that looks in a sentence, so let me show you, is you would have a clause right here. So, for example, well, here, let's back up for a second. When you're expressing when you want something, these verbs here are the ones that are going to tip you off that they're expressing desire, and if they have que after them, it's tipping you off that it's probably the subjunctive. Now, these are going to be in the first half of the sentence. So, first, ooh, that's bad. Don't ever try to write with a mouse. It's gross. Okay, so they're in the first part, or if you'd like to think of it this way, before. Yeah, next time I need to do this on my surface. Okay, before the que. There we go. So look for these guys before que, and you'll know that you probably are talking about a subjunctive situation. We also can look for the conjugation in the second half once we know what the conjugations are, which we'll talk about in a second, but these are what we're going to be looking for. So in this case, for example, if I were talking about wanting something, I would have je veux, so I want. Je veux, sorry, this takes so long to write. Okay. Then we would have que. I want that. And then the second half of the sentence would explain who I want to do what. It might be me. Odds are it's somebody else. So this is going to tip me off that maybe there's a subjunctive going on. This que, though, is really going to confirm that for me. And then this part over here is going to have the conjugation for the subjunctive in it. So, for example, let's move down here. Je veux que nous parlions le français. I want us to speak French. Now notice that it's not the same way that we would say it in English. They kind of add some different structure. So literally it comes out to I want that we speak in French, or speak French, however you'd like to say it. But notice, of course, that we have je veux, which is I want, we're expressing desire here, and then we have the que. This tips us off we might be talking subjunctive. And then notice, when we come over here, I'll show you the conjugations in a second, but parlions, that is the subjunctive conjugation. So notice the subjunctive. Can I just make it sub and you'll know what I'm talking about? The subjunctive is in the second part. Okay, so this verb is usually going to be normal. So probably present tense, potential of past or future, but odds are it's going to be a present tense, most likely an indicative verb, and the second half is going to be subjunctive. Now, another example, which is true toujours, like literally toujours, like the cat just rubbed me a couple minutes ago begging for some more, is Monty souhaite qu'il mange plus d'aliments. Monty wishes to eat more food. Or literally, Monty wishes that he eats more food. Now notice, Monty souhaite. Souhaite is right here. This is one of our verbs that we are talking about. So Monty souhaite que, and then odds are we're going to have a subjunctive going on here, and even though it doesn't look like it, I'll show you the conjugations in a second. This is a subjunctive verb ici. So we've got subjunctive going on here. And like I said, I know the conjugations for some of them aren't going to be very noticeable. That's okay. It just, c'est la vie. It is what it is. But this way you actually know that it's actually subjunctive there. Now, just to make sure that we're going over everything, because of course this has taken more than one take, because I realize sometimes that it's not coming as smoothly as I'd like it to. So, I realized that I forgot to mention something that I mentioned in a previous version that was not as pretty as this one, and that is what the verbs are that we're looking for when we're talking about wanting something. Now, remember, these are going to be in the first part before que. So, aimer bien, which is to like something a lot. Désirer, which is to desire something. Insister, insist on something. And sometimes insister is used with pour. So, insister pour que whatever. Préférer, which of course means to prefer. Souhaiter, which is to wish most accurately. It can be used to desire or to express want, but it's more of a wish kind of want. And then, of course, our friend vouloir, which is to want more flat out. So, like je veux ici. So, that is basically how it works with expressing desire and just the general way that it works. So remember, you have one thing, in this case it expresses desire, then you have the que, and then after that you have what it is that's wanted. Now that we've talked a little bit about how to use the subjunctive, let's actually talk about the conjugation, so that way you actually know what you're doing. Now, this week, because we're reintroducing the subjunctive, and because this is really a difficult subject, we're going to focus mostly on the conjugations. And then, obviously, we're going to talk about désirer, or expressing desire, again next week, so that way we're on the same page. But I want to make sure to bring you through the conjugation since, like I said, that's what we're going to focus on a lot this week. So the nice thing about this is that it actually does, it isn't too horrible as far as it all goes with the conjugations, especially with our present tense verbs, and especially with the ER verbs, it's going to be pretty nice. So first thing that we need to do is find the il-elle conjugation, and then in present tense, le présent, and then we're going to knock off the ent. So, that looks so bad. So we're going to knock that part off, and that is going to become our stem that we're going to use. So what I'm going to do is write il up here, so that way we remember what it is that we're going to break our stem down to, and then we're going to work through the different things that we do. So if we remember with parle or parler, when we have il, it's parle or parlons, depending on how you like to say it. Either way is perfectly fine, just depends on where you are in the country, which one you say. So we're going to knock off the ent, and this part is going to be our stem. Now the nice thing is, like I said, actually this is going to look very similar to regular things with the verbs. So before we talk about that though, one other thing I want you to note here is that que is in front of each one of these, and that is just a reminder that the subjunctive always is going to come after que. Now notice that we have que apostrophe and then il, elle, on, and que apostrophe il, elle, ici, and that is because, remember, the French, if you got the e and then you got il, they are not into that life here. So instead of having que, u, e, l, they're going to do que, u, apostrophe, e, l. So it's the same word, it's still que, but it makes them a lot happier, because otherwise it's it's hard to say. Que il. I mean, seriously, it's ugly. So, of course, being French, we're not going to do that. So, here we go. So, we have que je parle avec un E, que tu parles avec un ES, qu'il parle avec un E, or it could be qu'elle parle if it's feminine, or qu'on parle if it's one, because of course they use that term. Que nous parlions, notice that we're going to add the I here, que vous parliez, and qu'ils parlent, or qu'il parle, or qu'elle parle, or qu'elle parlent, just depending on if it's il or elle. All right, now with vend, let's go ahead and do the il conjugation in présent. So it's vend or vendons, depending on how you like to say it. And they. We're going to knock off the ent. So it is vend, V-E-N-D, or they, and they. So in this case, it'd be que je vende, que tu vendes, qu'il vende, or qu'elle vende, or qu'on vende, que nous vendions, que vous vendiez, et qu'ils vendent, or vendons, or qu'elles vendons. So you notice same endings. It looks a little weirder on an verb, but you know, c'est la vie. It's okay. At least we have the same kind of endings going on across the board here. Now the last one is our er verbs, so in this case venir. And if you do the il conjugation, remember we've got those extra s's. So it's not just, oh, I'm sorry, there's the n here first. E, S, S, E, N, T. Again, we're going to knock off the ent, and this is our stem. Yes, that does mean it's a little long. Yes, it is going to get a little crazy depending on the er verb, but you know, c'est la vie. So, let's do it. Que je finisse. Notice we're just adding the E again. Que tu finisses. Qu'il finisse. Or qu'elle finisse. Or qu'on finisse. Que nous finissons. Que vous finissez. And qu'il finisse, or qu'ils finissons, or qu'elle finisse, or qu'elles finissons. So notice, across the board, it's always S, I, O, N, S, I, E, Z, A, I, N, T. So, let's go ahead and practice saying these. So repeat after me. Yes, I know it's awkward to repeat after me on a video, but you know, it's the best way to work on your pronunciation. So we're going to start with parler. So I'll leave a second for you to repeat after me. So, que je parle, que tu parles, qu'il parle, que nous parlions, que vous parliez, qu'il parle, or qu'il parlons. Okay, so let's do vendre. Que je vende, que tu vendes, qu'il vende, que nous, que nous vendions, que vous vendiez, qu'ils vendons. Et voilà. All right, and then the last one, fini. So, que je finisse, que je finisse. Make sure you say the S. Que tu finisses, qu'il finisse, que nous finissons, que vous finissez, qu'il finisse, or qu'ils finissons. There you go. So those are the conjugations. Remember, we're going to focus on these guys. C'est simple. Of course, there are always going to be a few exceptions, Désolé. I know, it's annoying, but it's French and c'est la vie. So, and of course, 3 or 4 of our major ones are going to be aller, faire, avoir, et être. There are some more, and you will notice them all on page 447 of vis-a-vis. So if you want to take a look at the full list. But these are the ones, of course, these 4, that you need to know off the top of your head because you encounter them a lot more frequently. So, yeah, I know. They look pretty awful, don't they? All right, so let's talk about these guys. So we have que je elle. Now notice, actually it would be que j'elle. We would do the J apostrophe because of course you can't do that. But since the other ones don't all start like that, we're just going to leave it. So, que j'elle, que tu elle, qu'il elle. Notice that they fit on one line this time. I'm so happy. So this is normally what it would look like. Que nous allions, que vous alliez, qu'il aille, or allons. All right. Now the next one is faire. So, que je fasse, que tu fasses, qu'il fasse. Yeah, I know that sounds kind of funny. Que nous fassions, fassions, que vous fassiez, and qu'il fasse, or qu'il fassions, qu'il fassons. Désolé. Then this is always a fun one to say, and by that I mean it's un peu difficile. And as you can see, it doesn't even behave when it comes to the endings. Désolé, c'est un peu difficile. Okay, so in this case, we would have it like this, obviously, but it's j'ai, tu es, qu'il ait, que nous ayons, que vous ayez. Yeah, that's a fun one to say. And qu'il ayons. And then our last one, être. We have que je sois, que tu sois, qu'il soit, que nous soyons, que vous soyez, qu'ils soyons. So there you go. That's what our irregulars look like. Just like usual, these are going to be the ones that I want you to really, really know. The other ones, obviously, we'll need to know them on a more need-to-know basis, but these are the ones that I'd like you to work on memorizing. So that way you can comfortably use each one of these. So with that, congratulations. You have survived the first round of Les Subjonctifs. Now remember, this week, focus on conjugating. We'll talk more about how to use it next week. We will take plenty of time to work through this so that way you feel as confident as can be with this whole thing, because I know it's hard. I do. I totally understand. But like I said, focus on the conjugations this week and then we'll go from there. So if you have any questions along the way, if you need any assistance, then just let me know. And I will see you guys as usual next week. Bonne week!